the Eurozone and Cyprus have agreed to a bank bailout. If you've been following it last week, the Cypriot banks kind of went into crisis over the past, I think, beginning last week. And then the initial response to the to the Cypriot banking crisis was basically to restore liquidity in the banks by imposing taxes on every single person's savings in the bank, including from the lowest level depositors. So people obviously were enraged. There was a huge reaction against this. And now the Eurozone and the Cypriot government has come up with a new bailout package, which will basically wind down Cyprus's second largest bank. And under the agreement, all deposits of less than 100,000 euros will be secured. So all those with deposits of less than 100,000 euros will not pay any tax or have a levy imposed on them. And then the Laki Bank, which is the second largest bank in Cyprus, will be winded down to sort of restore liquidity and restore the system. I think it's interesting, there was a fear of contagion, but Cyprus obviously is a very, very tiny, tiny portion of the EU economy. I think that the only sort of the kind of broader lessons here, first of all, are one is that the initial proposal to levy a tax on everybody is shocking. I mean, it's just another kind of classic and really crude example of, of externalizing the losses, obviously. Russia doesn't like this agreement necessarily because a lot of the large depositors in Cypriot banks are Russians. So there's a kind of questionable sort of money source in Cyprus. And look, Cyprus has had a very irresponsible banking policy, which in fact they've based off of the kind of deregulation and liberalization that we have followed. So it's sort of caught up with them in that way. I think the other kind of important takeaway here is in the sort of broader Eurozone, which is that you could almost look at EU expansion in some respects as a bubble as well, because you basically had a lot of countries coming in and getting kind of cleared for EU membership that clearly did not meet the standards that the EU had established for membership in terms of economic performance, in terms of lack of corruption, in terms of transparency. And one of the things that's very important to bear in mind is not only, and look, and to be clear, there is corruption in places like Cyprus and Greece and Spain and Portugal, and there is serious inefficiency, and there is some really big problems in those countries' bureaucracies. But when you look at places like, again, Greece and Spain being a good example of this, that kind of had real estate booms and a lot of speculation that led to these crashes, or in Cyprus with a deregulated kind of casino banking sector. The same kind of core Eurozone countries like Germany that now are imposing really brutal austerity on places like Greece profited immensely from real estate booms in places like Greece. So all of the contractors, the building contractors, building equipment, loans, bank liquidity, that places like Greece needed to sustain a housing bubble or a fake boom or whatever else, was supplied by the Germans and supplied by the core Eurozone members. So now they kind of turn around and are imposing really harsh austerity and giving a lot of lessons about responsibility, but it wasn't like they weren't profiting immensely from the irresponsibility of the southern zone countries, and then also the fact that a lot of countries are sort of cleared for EU membership, even though there was no way that they were meeting those standards to begin with. I actually think that the deal that they've ended up striking in Cyprus is probably a best case scenario because utterly crashing and being kind of defaulted out of the Eurozone would certainly be totally devastating for Cyprus. I don't know necessarily how much of a contagion it would have had across Europe, but it certainly would have hit Cyprus even harder than it's hitting Cyprus now. Then obviously, though, the initial proposal of simply imposing a levy on everybody was ludicrous, and I think actually that wasn't even a Eurozone idea. I think that was the initial response of the conservative government in Cyprus. So at any rate, it looks like that crisis is being addressed, although obviously there's going to be a lot of pain as a result of that. And just more consequences of a deregulated banking sector. I mean, that's really what this just keeps coming down to. And again, I mean, I know this is like endless goading and it's like a signpost on this show, but like libertarians, deregulated banking sector, like example 3,000,000,013 of bad consequences.
I don't know. I hear things are going great over there.
Actually, wait, libertarians, I'm sorry. We're just ridiculous with the board, but I have to do this. Banking deregulation has caused bad consequences. Shocking.
Who knew?
Who knew?
More at 11.
More at 11. Banking deregulation might not be such a good idea for an economy or a banking strategy.
But it's worked so well everywhere else.
I know. You have the anomalies, probably just there's something culturally about Cyprus that makes it not work.
It's almost as if people expect us to look back at history and see what has worked and what hasn't and take things from there. What? Preposterous.
You're part of the history-based community. No, but I think, and actually in some ways what some people pointed out is that, Cyprus implemented this aggressive deregulation. They underwrote Greece. They have all this kind of questionable Russian oligarch money floating around. And the real question is actually, how did Cyprus, as this little small, a bifurcated island state, how did it take 5 extra years for their banking institutions to collapse after hours?
Free market, baby. It's the free market. Maybe we would have collapsed 5 years from now if it was for if we were following the true free market system.
It's just like free market, man. It's just like the market, because like when the market happens, people take responsibility, and then that's the market.
We should all be more like Cyprus, but not exactly.